We are now live. So, Planning Commission Chair, could you please call the meeting to order?
Yes. I am calling this meeting of the Arapahoe County Planning Commission of July 7th, 2020 to order, and we will now call the roll.
Chair Rick.
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Latsis.
Present.
Commissioner Brockelman.
Present.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Saul.
Here.
Commissioner Sauvé.
Here.
Commissioner Woolman.
Here.
All members are present. Good evening, commissioners, staff, citizens, and guests. I am Jason Reynolds with Arapahoe County Planning, and I will be serving as the moderator for this evening's online meeting of the Planning Commission. We are streaming this meeting on our website, arapahoegov.com. The agenda will be handled in the same way it would be handled for a regular in-person meeting. You may stream the meeting on our website or call in to participate. Please do note that the website broadcast is delayed by 20 to 30 seconds. So if you would like to speak regarding any public hearing items, of which we have one tonight, please use the call-in number. To participate live via phone, call 719-569-5048, and when prompted, enter the conference ID 968-523-719, followed by the pound sign. Once again, you can listen and participate live over the phone if you call 719-569-5048, and then when prompted, enter the conference ID 968-523-719, followed by the pound sign. All presentation PowerPoints are available on our website, so even if you're participating over telephone, you can still follow along with the presenters. Chair Rick, please proceed with the approval of the minutes.
Okay, under general business items, we have two sets of minutes to approve. The first set of minutes is from April 21st, 2020, Planning Commission meeting. If there are any changes to the minutes, please include those changes in your motion, and I will accept the motion to approve the minutes.
Madam Chair, I wish to make a motion to approve the minutes from 4/21/2020 as written.
The motion is made by Commissioner Woolman. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Latsis. I second.
The motion is seconded by Commissioner Latsis. Any discussion? Otherwise, Mr. Reynolds, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brockelman.
Aye.
Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Commissioner Saul.
Aye.
Commissioner Sauvé.
Aye.
Commissioner Woolman.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Latsis.
Aye.
Chair Rick.
Yes.
The minutes are approved on a vote of 7-0.
So the second set of minutes is from May 19th, 2020, the regular Planning Commission meeting. If there are any changes to the minutes, please include those changes in your motion. I will accept the motion to approve the minutes.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Latsis. I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Thank you, Commissioner Latsis. The motion is made to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Commissioner Brockelman seconds.
Commissioner Brockelman makes the second. Any discussion? Mr. Reynolds, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brockelman.
Aye.
Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Commissioner Saul.
Aye.
Commissioner Sauvé.
Aye.
Commissioner Woolman.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Latsis.
Aye.
Chair Rick.
Yes, aye.
The minutes are approved on a vote of 7-0. Our next portion of the agenda is public hearings, and the public is invited to participate in the public hearing portion. If you would like to comment on the public hearing items, please call 569-5048, and when prompted, enter the conference ID 968-523-719, followed by the pound sign. I will call on individual telephone numbers after the Planning Commission Chair opens the public hearing. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the Planning Commission on this topic after the staff presentation. And tonight, the only public hearing item is the Floodplain Regulations Update Land Development Code Amendment. And I'll have the PC Chair take it over.
Okay, tonight we have one public hearing item. The Planning Commission will now consider case number LDC 20-002, a proposed text amendment to our land development code, updating our floodplain regulations. And Sue Liu with Engineering Services is our staff presenter. Mrs. Liu, please begin your presentation.
Good evening, Planning Commission. Sue Liu is representing Engineer Services Division for this case before you tonight. It's LDC 20-002, amendment for land development code for updated floodplain management regulation. The hearing was published in Villager on June 18, 2020, and also on I-70 scale, June 23rd, 2020. What proposed tonight is an amendment to the land development code to updating the floodplain management regulation. The floodplain management regulation has been required to be updated and revised by the Federal Emergency Management Agency to meet the minimum national flood insurance program requirements. The proposed amendment will bring the county regulation into compliance with the minimum the insurance program requirement. The background on this case is that the county has been participating in this program since 1977. As a participating community, the county is responsible to making sure the county's floodplain management regulation to meet or exceed the minimum requirement. The map update process for these changes begins on June 30th, 2016. Basically, FEMA presents a new flood insurance study for a floodplain study, which include 17 major drainage ways. Arapahoe County parcels are within 5 out of 7 major drainage ways. Those drainage ways are Cherry Creek, Happy Canyon, Scenic Creek, Anam Creek, and the West Tollgate Creek. During the review process, it has come to FEMA's attention that a more accurate hydrological analysis has been complete for Sand Creek, Coal Creek, and the Murphy Creek. The new hydrology has the potential to reduce the flood hazard risk. Due to those issues, the flood hazard data for those 3 creeks presented are incorrect. Therefore, those 3 creeks is no longer included in this update. The actually 90 days appeal process for the map update began in June 29, 2017. FEMA did not receive any appeals on the proposed revision during this time to the flood insurance map and also the base flood elevation. The changes in our land development code are very minor. We are changing 2 portions of the code. One is section 1-5.3, paragraph A, and the second one is section 4-3.4, point B, paragraph 1. We are proposing to changing the date of the effective study in the maps from September 28, 2018 to the new date of September 4th of 2020. We do not do a lot of referral on this case just because we did an extensive outreach program with this map revision changes. We sent the letters directly to every property owner impacted by the floodplain map change. And the updated map results in no additional structure in those drainage way. And 5 staff findings are listed on the staff report, page 4. We are hoping you're supporting this so the case can be moved onto the BOCC on 28th of this month. I have a few slideshows to show the limits of the study, and the slideshow was what's in the package sent it to you. Let me just share the screen. Can you see my screen?
We cannot see it yet.
Yeah, let's see if that works. Let me see. Sure.
There we go.
So, okay, that works. Yeah, this is one of the creeks, Happy Canyon. And you can see here is, those are the new form map. Here's the floodway. And the light blue is the 100 years floodplain limit. And those brown dash, it's the 500 years. This is the Cherry Creek again in the 4 square mile area. This is the Seneca Creek. Yeah, this one's including 2. One is the West Toge Creek and the other is the Nam Creek. Yeah, this will conclude my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Sue. Do the planning commissioners have any questions? I will call you individually. Commissioner Brockelman,
I have no questions.
Commissioner Miller,
No questions.
Commissioner Saul,
No questions.
Commissioner Suave,
No questions.
Commissioner Woolman,
No questions.
Chair Pro Tem Latsis.
No questions.
Okay. Are there anyone else that would like to participate in the hearing? Do we have any callers?
We do have callers on the line, so if you could open the public hearing, I can inquire if they'd like to participate.
Okay, I open the public hearing and we will hear from callers if they wish to participate.
All right, I see 2 callers on the line. The first caller is, last 4 digits of their phone number is 0777. If you'd like to participate, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Although it does not look like you're muted. State your name and location for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to comment if you wish to do so.
Hey there, I'm actually gonna just on the line to listen to your next study session item, so I have no comment. Thank you though.
Excellent, thank you. And the next caller ends in 8686. And you are also not muted, so state your name if you'd like to comment on this public hearing item.
Yeah, my name is Richard Rader, and I'm just interested in listening to the study session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, caller. That is the last caller.
Okay, then I close the public hearing and bring this item to the Planning Commission for a motion and discussion. And I believe we are just going to make a recommendation to the approval or disapproval. Are there any additional questions before I call for a motion? Otherwise, I will accept a motion regarding the proposed floodplain regulations.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion in the case of LDC 20-002, Floodplain Management Regulations, Land Development Code Amendment. We find ourselves in agreement with staff findings 1 through 5, including all plans and attachments as set forth in the staff report dated June 19, 2020, and recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners, subject to items 1 and 2.
Okay, we have a motion made by Commissioner Mollman. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Latsis. I second.
Very good. The motion is seconded by Commissioner Latsis. Are there any further discussion? Otherwise, Mr. Reynolds, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brockelman,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Saul,
Aye.
Commissioner Save,
Aye.
Commissioner Woolman,
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Latsis,
Aye.
Chair Rick.
Aye. The motion is passed.
The motion passes on a vote of 7-0.
Okay, we have completed the first consideration for night. We will now move on to our study session item. We have one study session item discussing proposed changes to the Land Development Code for recreational marijuana. Bill Skinner and Michelle Halstead are presenting for staff. And we also will have Bill McKierman, CEO of Cure Colorado, available to answer questions. Mr. Skinner, Mrs. Halstead, please begin.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Bill Skinner, one of the land planners for Arapahoe County speaking. Tonight's session is a study session. There is no notice required, and the planning commissioners will not be requested to give us a recommendation for tonight. We will come back to you on July 21st with a proposed set of changes to the Land Development Code that will be the time for us to to request an actual recommendation from you on these proposed changes. Speaking of which, the proposed changes are potentially adopting language into the Land Development Code. The Board of County Commissioners has been approached by a stakeholder group that has interest in the 4 operational medical marijuana dispensaries in Arapahoe County. These dispensaries were operating before the county adopted medical marijuana regulations, and they are considered grandfathered or legal non-conforming. The board is currently considering adopting an ordinance which would allow these 4 operational dispensaries to expand their services to include the sale of recreational marijuana. We have Michelle Halstead on the line with us tonight. She is the Communications and Admin Services Director. She'll be speaking to us. She's been speaking to the board, participating in the study sessions with the board about this topic as they gather information before they come to any kind of conclusion. We have a presentation that Michelle will go through, and then I'll be available after that to answer any questions. Michelle will stay on with us for a while. And then Bill McKiernan is part of the ownership group of one of the operating dispensaries, and he's here to answer some questions. I sat in a study session with Bill and ownership of 2 other of the dispensaries, and it's good to hear their position on this as well. So unless there's anything for me immediately, I'd like to move directly to Michelle's presentation, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Halstead. I'm going to try to share my screen here, and
Michelle, you can either do it that way or I can share it. And you can
even better. Will you do it?
Yep, absolutely. Happy to do that. And I need this. Can everyone see a big white screen that says marijuana regulations?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm going to clean up that view just a little bit. And Michelle, I think we're ready to proceed.
Great. Well, thank you, members of the Planning Commission and Bill. If we could go to the next slide, I'm really here tonight to offer some context and the rationale for why these proposed changes are under consideration by the board. And I think it's important to start with some policy background. So if we could go to the next slide. For some of you who have been here a while, you may know that our regulatory relationship as a state with marijuana has began more than 2 decades ago. First in November of 2000, where voters passed Amendment 20, that provided an affirmative defense for charges of marijuana possession and use for medical marijuana patients and their primary caregivers. In 2009, President Obama's administration announced its policy not to prosecute possession, sale, and use of marijuana when it was used to treat a medical condition, provided that states adopted medical marijuana laws. And Colorado actually did that in 2010. The General Assembly implemented the Medical Marijuana Code that established a regulatory framework and a licensing model for medical marijuana businesses across the state. The success of that and the benefits of the regulatory environment really led to Amendment 64 passing statewide in 2012, as well as within Arapahoe County itself. Amendment 64 made personal use and the possession of marijuana lawful, and it also allowed the licensure of commercial marijuana facilities similar to that of liquor licensing. Amendment 64 also gave local governments the opportunity to either prohibit marijuana use or regulate it. And Arapahoe County decided in 2013 to prohibit those retail and commercial operations. State of Colorado actually started issuing these recreational or retail marijuana business licenses in 2014. And as the industry and the market changes, the state annually updates its industry regulations, both through the legislative process as well as through the rulemaking process. And as Bill mentioned, this industry trends and the changes is what prompted our local business community in Arapahoe County to come to the board in August to ask them to consider changing the county's regulations. And so since August of last year, there's been an interdisciplinary staff team comprised of planning and other public works staff, the sheriff's office, our county attorney's office, our finance department, to really look at options and considerations. So we presented this information to the board during a February 2020 study session. And they did provide us some guidance, but because of the pandemic, we've all been delayed a little bit. So thank you for indulging us and allowing us to move this forward and answer your questions tonight. If we could go to the next slide, some of the industry trends that we're seeing across the country shows that, you know, the Colorado experiment in 2012 and really since 2000 has changed the landscape across the country. And so what you have seen is more than 33 states in the District of Columbia have laws that broadly legalize some type of marijuana, and cannabis products like CBD are readily available across the country. It's important to note that under federal law, marijuana is still a Schedule I illegal substance, but our National Conference of State Legislatures have told us that there's 26 states and the District of Columbia have decriminalized small amounts of marijuana, and others have reduced those criminal penalties for marijuana convictions. And Colorado recently just did that at the State House this year. We've also seen changes in marijuana laws across the country generate a fairly robust industry in terms of regulation, taxation, enforcement, education, banking, and now research. One of the key things to point out is that sales, particularly of the retail or recreational variety of marijuana, is expected this year to top about $12 billion, and there's about $30 billion in sales by 2023. And if we can go to the next slide, because there's become a more broad industry market, and Bill McKiernan can answer way better the questions that you may have relative to industry trends or business specific operations. As recreational marijuana expands, the need for medicinal only centers declines. And so there's a market challenge and an economic challenge that occurs. And the reason for that is because the same products that are sold medicinally are sold recreationally. And so there is less need for medicinal only companies, not only in Colorado, but across the country. So if we could go to the next slide, I can share a little bit more about the Arapahoe County experience and what trends that we're seeing in our county. So as Bill mentioned, there are 4 medical marijuana centers that have been in operation since 2009. They are located in districts 1 and 4, and I believe Bill added a map, and see if he nods his head, or we'll have a map if you have questions of where they are specifically in the county. As Bill mentioned, our land use codes don't permit currently recreational sales or commercial operations, and the ordinance 2013-01 prohibits those facilities. Our existing stores do operate as that non-conforming use, and every year they need to come to the board and demonstrate that they're in compliance with the provisions of the Colorado Medical Marijuana Code, our Land Development Code, our building codes, and that they're in good standing with the state. So we do an annual check, and then they remain a non-conforming use for another year. So based on the industry information that was provided, as well as this experience, we also then looked at other communities in Arapahoe County and in the region. And if you look at the next slide, we're seeing that within Arapahoe County, there's 5 cities that have adopted a regulatory framework for marijuana. And certainly that has an impact as they allow retail or recreational marijuana. It has an impact on our unincorporated small businesses. And then there are 6 counties within our kind of 10 county area that also have some regulations, and all of these communities have demonstrated a strong regulatory framework and operational framework. So with that, if we could go to the next slide. Staff presented 3 policy options for the board's consideration. The first was just to retain the status quo and allow keep our medicinal centers as medicinal only, but that certainly had some business impacts, although it did provide some regulatory certainty, and we had known providers. The second option was to allow only those existing providers to convert to dual licensing, which would allow them to sell both medicinally and recreational or retail marijuana. And that dual approach means that only patrons 21 or older can be in the facility. And so the pros of that helps address the business concerns that were raised. It does maintain with known providers, and it allows, it allows some the cons, though it does expand some accessibility, and doesn't necessarily, there's some revenue increase, but not a lot at the end of the day. And then option 3 is essentially opening up recreational use for areas across Arapahoe County, unincorporated Arapahoe County, but it would be governed by a broader land use regulation. And that would certainly expand a variety of pros and cons, let's put it that way. I'm not sure, I'm getting a little feedback, I apologize.
I believe that's coming from someone else.
Okay. So those were the 3 options that we presented to the board. And if we can go to the next slide, The board direction to us was to look at a regulatory environment that would only allow current medicinal businesses to transition to that dual license. So the only retail marijuana or recreational marijuana sales that would be allowed in the county would be the current businesses that operate today. At this point, they did not want to pursue additional voter-approved tax increases with those retail sales because there were 4 companies. But they did want to continue a regulatory environment that remained as a non-conforming use, and they wanted to have an annual approval process. So that is the context and direction, and I stand ready for any questions. And Bill and Skinner and Bill McKiernan are on the line to answer anything more specifically. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners or comments? We will go by you individually. Commissioner Rockelman.
None at this time.
Commissioner Miller.
Nothing right now.
Commissioner Saul.
No questions.
Commissioner Suave.
No questions, but a request. Could you put the slide back up about the 3 things that the Board of County? Yes, thank you. I just wanted to look at that for a minute. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Are you satisfied, Lynn? Did you see what you wanted?
Yeah, thanks.
Commissioner Woolman.
No questions right now.
Chair Pro Tem Latsis.
Yeah, I do have one question for the bills. It's so looking at the county commissioner direction on this, is the overall intent to essentially have only these 4 businesses until they, deem that they no longer want to be in business, and kind of prevent the expansion of medical, marijuana businesses in the unincorporated county? Because it looks like if you're trying to just address the 4 only and not really create a standard, that might be the idea.
I understand, and I'd like to take that question. Bill Skinner speaking again. The regulations in the Land Development Code as they stand today are quite explicit. The opening section says specifically all marijuana uses in Arapahoe County are prohibited across the board, everything. And then there is an exceptions, or except is allowed under the exceptions section. The exceptions section then grandfathers or allows the 4 businesses that were existing to continue operating. So the current direction from the board is to allow these medical dispensaries to increase their product range to include recreational so they can remain competitive, but also not throw the door wide open to new licenses or businesses at this time.
Thank you.
Are there any other?
This is Bob Hill. Can I follow up on Bill's answer a little bit too?
Yes, please, Bob.
I think one of the points, and I actually asked sort of the same question myself when I first started looking at the draft of the code, was the intent to keep the non-conforming use restrictions in play for these 4 businesses? And the answer is yes. So if when you see the code, you'll see the way it's been drafted is that it's subject to the non-conforming use chapter of the Land Development Code. That chapter will limit the ability of those businesses to expand, to do significant improvements or repair, or even if the property is destroyed by casualty, to more than 50% of the replacement cost to rebuild. Our Land Development Code non-conforming use provisions would require any rebuild to be done in compliance with whatever the then Land Development Code restrictions are.
Okay, and just to identify that speaker, that's Robert Hill, one of the county assistant attorneys.
Yep, thank you for the clarification.
Does staff have anything else you would like to add?
No, ma'am. Just expect to see me in 2 weeks when we'll bring proposed land development code language to you.
I think the question asked by Catherine is an important one, so maybe with you time to address that further. So I guess that concludes our study session items, and we do not have to make any formal decision making on this one tonight, but I guess we will readdress it on July 21st, which is our next meeting. So I guess that concludes our session for today. Thank you all.